Okay, today we're going to talk about in there TPMS stuff. So what does TPMS stand for?
Tire pressure monitoring
Tire
system.
pressure monitor system. Give that man a cigar.
One thing we brought in.
All right. Why TPMS? History and factoids. Firestone tire recall from the late 90s. More than 100 automotive fatalities were attributed to Firestone tires that lost their tread when they were run under inflated and friction heated them beyond their capability to handle it. The tires blew out or delaminated, like this one you see in the picture, and that led to the rollover of the vehicles they were on. And Ford Explorers were, you know.
Do they still retread tires or recap them anymore?
No.
On tractor trailers?
Well, I don't know, somebody somewhere might recap them, but I don't think I'd go there. All right, so the point is running under inflated tires is a very dangerous thing to do. And if you check the tires on every car that comes in that you check the change the oil on, you'll be surprised how many of them are down at 26, 25, 27 pounds when they're supposed to be 35.
I've been
Always
here.
check, even when you're doing a tune-up, set your tire pressure, and when somebody drives it after you did a tune-up, you know, your plugs and your throttle body and your clear and stuff, and whenever you drive this thing with freshly aired up tires, they're gonna say, man, this thing is so crisp, it runs so better, my gas mileage is better and all that.
I've been here 3 semesters and I've only found one vehicle that had the correct tire pressure.
Outstanding performance.
One vehicle. I've been
We
here
got
3 semesters. I've only seen one vehicle that had correct tire pressure.
That's right, and he checks the oil in every
One.
vehicle before he starts it up too, ain't that right?
99% of the time.
What does that mean?
1%. Not all the time.
I tell you what though, what he does is, well, when he was moving his Bradley Fighting vehicle, he did it too. But what you do is, and how many times have you seen the oil not touching the stick?
A bunch.
More than a few.
More than a few.
You know, when you pull it out. Okay, let's move on. This pushed the Clinton administration to legislate the TREAD Act, which is really a good thing. The act mandated the use of a suitable TPMS technology in all light motor vehicles under 10,000 pounds to help alert drivers of severe underinflation events. If your tires are low, you need to know about it, right? You can do something about it. Now, your Humvees had an automatic system, kept it aired up,
Yep,
didn't they?
they did.
And that thing, that was pretty slick. Of course, you got time to stop it when you're halfway across the desert out there somewhere and air your tire up, so you're just gonna do it automatically. Big trucks, a lot of them, have got a tire pressure warning system that also uses the air system on the truck to air the tires back up. Since 2012, it has been, and listen to this is a key element. Since 2012, and you need to know this, since 2012, it's been illegal for an automobile repair facility to knowingly not reinstall a functioning TPMS system if vehicle arrives at facility with functioning TPMS system. What this means, if a vehicle came into your shop with working TPS, it should leave the same way.
30 minutes. Okay, give me about half hour. Bye-bye.
All right, wrap it up over there. All right, the sensor, basic rules. Sensors only transmit,
Carlos.
they do not receive when they're on a vehicle. See what I'm saying? They're constantly sending out information, but they don't receive any information, except when you're using your tire pressure monitor tool. Yeah.
If the TPMS sensor is functioning right the first time, why would someone just leave it out? Just being lazy or?
Well, whenever somebody is putting some funky wheels on there,
Uh,
or if they don't want to, like for example, if you're breaking a tire down and you bust one, and maybe the customer doesn't give a rip, and you let it go out of there without it being working, you know you broke the law. You're really not supposed to do that. The tool excites the transmitting antenna and more or less tickles the sensor to get a response. So that's when it does receive. But I mean, there's a lot of different scenarios that can cause that, you know. If it was working when it came in, it needs to be working when it goes out. That's like putting a vehicle out of the shop with fewer miles on the odometer than it came in. That's a breach of federal law. Got that? All right. So TPMS sensors usually have an accelerometer that's activated by movement. They send their little packets of data to the receiver when movement happens or if the sensor detects sudden low pressure. And that's what it looks like when they're sending their little packets. See, there's a like over there. All right, when the accelerometer is active, the sensor usually transmits its info every quarter of a minute, every 15 seconds. It shoots it out. All right, or every 60 seconds. And generally, if the sensor doesn't feel motion, it'll go to sleep 10 to 20 minutes after it's in park. So it's basically paying attention to whether it's moving or not. See, if the Relearn procedure is attempted with active sensors, The system might hear more than one sensor talking at a time, which can confuse you in some cases on some system. Now, I will have never experienced this, because usually you gotta be really close to that one sensor before your tool is gonna pick it up. You got me? I mean, you're basically gonna stick the rubber antenna or your tip of your sensor. You know, we had a couple of these things over here, right there at the rubber part of the tire, close to the valve stem. That's what you're gonna do, and that's kind of how a lot of them are put together. Other TPMS cars shouldn't be nearby either, because if you've got one part really, really close and you're trying to do it, you know, you can have issues with that. Now, strap sensors, my pickup has got these, and occasionally one of them will come apart. You can see how that right there, if it's strapped to the wheel and the wheel is spinning really fast, then the weight of that sensor can yield the centrifugal force if something goes wrong, and it comes off and it's bouncing around inside the tire, and all of a sudden your tire pressure monitor light comes on and you don't have a good sensor. I've had to replace one of mine already. But anyway, that's just be aware of the fact that just because you can't see, you know, if it doesn't have one on the valve stem, it may have one strapped to the tire, you know, some of the pickups. Some of them just got a light. It doesn't tell you which tire. It just tells you you have a low tire pressure problem. My F-150, my 2007 F-150 does that. And that Explorer I'm driving right now, it does that too. Okay, so they use an ABS sensor to detect wheel speed on some of them. Now, we had worked on a 2007 Toyota. Well, it's a strange looking little dadgum car, and I can't remember the name of it. Little small Toyota that's about like the equivalent of a Honda Civic, and it didn't have sensors in it. If the tire is low on air, it rolls faster than if it's not. It's like it's a smaller tire. So your wheel speed sensor is telling it, reporting that one tire is rolling faster. It knows there's a tire pressure problem. Now, Ford was doing that on Windstars and stuff in 1995. And every now and then you see them going back and forth because it's less hardware. And basically your ABS can be typed as an algorithm to just put out an output if it sees one wheel rolling faster than the other. Some of them are really sexy display, you know, with all these fancy things telling you exactly which tire's got how much. Kind of like the car I showed you the other day, right? All right, some vehicles may need to be driven a certain distance so the module can match the sensor IDs and locations. In cases, now when you rotate the tires and you have one that identifies which tire is low, some of the Chryslers had little receivers in the wheel wells in 3 of the wells, but they didn't have a 4th one. Why would they not have a 4th one? It have they have receptors in some of the Chryslers on only 3 of the wheel wells, but they didn't have one in the 4th wheel well.
Because if it's reading the other 3, it knows it's a 4th.
That's right. It can identify the sensor that, you know, it identifies all 4 sensors, but it needs to know where they are. And so that's the whole point, knowing where they are. I don't know at the tire shops that in a lot of these small towns that will just rotate the tires and don't even fool with resetting the tire pressure sensor, you know. It'll talk to the module and say, I'm here, or whatever the TPMS tool tickles it, and it got to be done in the right sequence. GM is left, front, right rear, left rear, or the module won't know which sensor is on which tire, especially after rotating the tire. And what's bad is, you'll see one that's got 23 pounds on the left front, you start putting air in there and you keep waiting and waiting and waiting and waiting. The next thing you know, you've got 50 pounds of air in the left front tire, and the right rear one is being reported as the left front one because somebody didn't set them up. All right, now watch this. All right. I should have it. We can hear this. Basically, we turn the key on and we mash both fob buttons, lock and unlock and hold them for a minute. That's like on this blue car you're working on. Then you get this little tire pressure monitor tool, and I got this one, but I got the other OTC one too. Watch. See that? All right, now he goes to the one on the other side. I'm talking about you start left front, go right front. Mash that one, he needs to be able to see it. All right, now he goes to the back one. You have to do them in this order, guys. If you don't do this in order, it'll foul them up, but it's assuming you're doing left front, right front.
It's making that horn blow like that?
Yep. It blows the horn when it sees it. So receiver for these signals is the keyless entry receiver, because it already is talking radio. See, it blows twice, and that tells you it's done. You got it?
Huh, that's pretty cool.
Very good.
Now it knows where they are.
What year car is that?
Late model Chevrolet, this is the 2009 Malibu.
Right, hey. Yes.
I heard you and answered a question on
Yeah,
that.
that's great.
On many Nissans, check the manual to be sure you can ID the sensors this way. You can put 36 PSI in the left front, 33 PSI in the right front, 30 PSI in the left rear, and 27 PSI in the right rear. And then you drive it at 25 miles an hour or more for a little while. And based on the pressures it sees, because the sensor's reporting pressure and temperature, then you basically are gonna see, you know, it'll know where they are. Because it's gonna, of course, now I will tell you this, you gotta go into your scan tool first, so it'll know you're doing this, and click ID registry under BCM, because BCM is where it's talking to on the Nissan. Adjust the pressures to values and drive it. And the phone loves to ring while I'm trying to do this. Hey Cobb, I'm in class, we'll talk in a little bit. All right. That's how you handle that, okay?
Got it,
You see how to handle that? Boom, boom, boom. Okay, all right. All right, here we go. When breaking it down, don't bust a sensor. Don't bust a sensor. If you see one that's got the nut, and that's a fuzzy picture, I know, I don't give a rip. You can see what I'm talking about, and you've seen these before. You take this off, it's usually a 12 millimeter or an 11, and let that sensor fall into the tire. Just let it tumble in there. All right, if it's got a rubber stem, break the tire be 90 degrees from the stem location, and be careful not to break the sensor when removing the tire from the wheel. See, like a lot of the GM ones have got a rubber stem, but they got a sensor mounted to it. I should have had a sensor in my hand and all this in here when I showed you this, but you see the picture. Some sensors cost $250 a piece. If you're working somewhere and you're having to break tires down, even if you start at a dealership, you're subject to be doing tires. You know what I mean? You better be good at doing tires, because you're going to be doing some tires. You know, and even if somebody starts at a tire store and they grumble about, hey, you're putting me at a tire store. Well, if you can get the speed you need doing tires and brakes and some front end stuff, that's usually where they're going to start you at a dealership. And once you get really, you know, demonstrate your proficiency there, they're going to move you up the line. Stop fiddling with your phone and pay attention to what's coming on the next slide. What you got?
When you're breaking a tire down with a TPMS sensor, you break it at 180 degrees, right?
Actually, when you're breaking the bead,
Breaking the bead.
but when you put it on the machine, I'll show you what you do next. See this? Well, no, tire pressure monitor, you're going to put it right here, I'm sorry, not 180, right here, like 90 degrees. See that? Because I will tell you this, a lot of the times on the ones that are banded, it'll be banded, it'll be on the opposite side of the tire from here. So you're just trying to make sure that even if you don't see it in there, you're going to try to protect it. The tire pressure sensor, this is the duck head they call it, right behind the duck head. Whenever you're taking the tire off the rim, the tire pressure sensor is going to start right behind the duck head. And that way when you break it down, you're not likely to mess it up. All right. When you're putting it back on, make sure it's in front of the duck head before you start, you know, working it back on. You got me? So make sure when you're taking it off, it's behind, and it's in front when you're putting it back on. You got that? Now, do you like my job that I did on Microsoft Paint? How I drew this? This was really not really easy to do. But it's very professional, you know what I'm saying? If you know how to draw stuff on paint, you can draw stuff. This is an original drawing that nobody can say I broke the copyright on, okay? All right. Most sensors are calibrated to a cold tire pressure for a particular vehicle, but procedures are vehicle specific, okay? Cold tire pressure is important. And why is it important? For each 10 degrees Fahrenheit of ambient temperature, tire pressures will change about 2% or about 1 psi. So if you're warming up 10 degrees at a time, you're going to be going up in pressure too. Look at that low tire. Winter's coming on. Temperature changes in parts of the country that could mean a difference of 5 psi, and that could turn on the tire pressure light. So tires heat up while driving. That'll cause it to expand. Tire pressure should be checked once a month. Now, my wife every now and then would say, can you go check the tires on my vehicle? And I would go out there and I'd check her tires because I hadn't checked them in a while, and they would all be down at like 27 pounds. Real evenly. And that's a molecular bleed through thing. Oddly enough, when she got the tires put on there that's on that vehicle now, I would check them once a month and there would be almost no pressure loss at all. But on the previous tires she had, and they were in pretty good shape, you know, they were dropping, yeah.
So, like, say man, you got a vehicle that's been sitting up like my truck,
Mhm.
and one of my tires, brand new tires, but the pressure on it went low. Is that because it was just sitting there in the weight of the truck, or?
Yeah, usually air bleeds through, because little molecules of air bleed through the rubber over time. Yeah, it happens so slow, you don't pick it up. Also, if the tires are older than 6 years old, even if they look really good, you shouldn't use them. You know what I mean? Because they can come apart just like that when you saw, even though they look really good. We
What
talked
about nitrogen?
Nitrogen helps to
Nitrogen.
make the tires not dry rot. It also doesn't change pressure when you're going down the road. And it's a better way all the way around. However, it's expensive to get it put in there because you got to suck all the air out of there, and then you got to put it back, replace it with nitrogen. Okay, so, but that's, GM has a whole little TSB on that, why nitrogen is better. And NASCAR uses nitrogen in their tires. They even use the nitrogen in their daggum impact wrenches. They don't have an air jammer out here. Say hello to Adam. This was Adam 15 years ago. Adam's gonna be your sub from next Wednesday through the end of the week, because I'm gonna be at KC Vision. Okay. Yeah, that's Adam, and that was his toolbox. That toolbox right there was being sold by the widow of a guy that used to have a gas station, and it was just absolutely loaded with all kinds of snap-on tools and all kinds of really good stuff. And so Adam went over there, I went over there to look at it. My wife told me about it because she knew this lady. Me and Adam and his grandmother went over to look at it, and I said, she said, how much do you think I ought to ask for this? And I opened all the drawers and everything. I said, that'll be at least worth $600. And so she said, $600 it is. And Adam pulls out $600. Hands it to her. And he went away with a full mechanic's toolbox worth of tools. That's how he started his career, right? Okay, what's a good investment consumer or shop can make for service at TPMS? One thing, use good tire pressure gauges and handle the gauge with care. How many of you guys have dropped my tire pressure gauge? You ever dropped it? Don't get that deer in the headlights look. Have you dropped my tire pressure gauge? You know, drop my tire pressure. Everybody sit there. That's really something. You know the jig's up when you say, have you dropped my tire pressure gauge? They go, you know, say, do you get those? You know, all right, so only 4 feet. If you drop it from 4 feet, it may not be accurate anymore, even if it's electronic. You know what I mean? All right, and I will tell you the best tire pressure gauge you can use is the one on the dash. If it's giving you the one in each tire, you can toggle through those readings, setting it using those. That's the best thing you can do. You set it with your gauge, it may be off or too little or not enough. Most tire pressure sensors are activated with a 125 kilohertz signal. That's 125 cycles per second, by the way. The activation of, 125,000 cycles per second, not cycles per second. Okay, the activation frequency varies from vehicle to vehicle because some require more power to trigger sensor transmission than others. The ones that transmit information and communicate via UHF signal ranges from 314. That's most of the ones that we see out here, because it'll tell you that what that frequency is whenever you're using your tire pressure tool, if you're using the OTC one that we got. Thus anything that transmits in that window can cause interference, but this scenario isn't very common at all. And metal can block the signal, and blocking is a form of interference as well. Now, typically you're not supposed to reuse the nut, grommets, or valve stem. Supposed to change them out. That rule is not usually followed. Now, some places follow it better than others, you know. That grommet, that nut, not supposed to reuse them. But, you know, unless you got boxes of these things sitting around, you know, you're probably going to say, that'd be aight, you know. All right. How can you tell what you got? They look just alike on the outside pretty much, don't they? What you're going to do is you're going to try to bend it a little bit. If it bends really easy when you just put a little bit of pressure on it, you know it's not one of these. You got that? Also, you want to use the valve cores that are the silver ones, that are the aluminum, not the brass, because the brass ones will actually seize up in there and cause issues. So, with the tire pressure monitor, if you're taking it, putting a valve core in there, put the silver one back. Don't put a brass one in there and feel like it'll be better. If it bends when you gently apply pressure, it's a regular rubber stem. And sometimes somebody will replace one of these with one of those, like we were talking about earlier. Now the sealing grommets are engineered to work at a certain torque. This was right out here in the shop. We had one that we worked on and we didn't replace the sealing grommet. We had this going on. These are bubbles, air bubbles, easing out past the sealing grommet. Had it in the little tank out there. You ought to clean the rubber grommet with a rag and a gentle detergent when reinstalling it if you don't have one, you can't reuse it, you know. I'm not saying you ought to down the car, you know, and if the parts store, you know, probably ain't gonna have them darn things. All right, so TPS sensors able to report on the status of their battery life. There's what the battery looks like. It's just potted. You take that out of there. And some sensors, yes, some sensors no. Temperature changes can affect battery voltage. It will change as the tires warm up. TPMS batteries have a long shelf life. And the sensor doesn't turn on until pressure rises above certain PSI. As a matter of fact, I got this little sensor, it's a brand new one I had in there. And there's a little hole where it measures tire pressure. And I took the air blower and put it up against it and pushed air into that sensor. And then when somebody was standing there with a tire pressure sensor and they mashed the button and it went, and it woke up and it told them.
Straight into the sensor?
Yeah, I was just shooting air into that little hole in the sensor that moved that little switch that turned it on or whatever. All right, at the sample rate, you can see the battery life, they run a sample rate, drive cycle, the environment. And batteries usually last 70 to 100,000 miles or 7 to 10 years. All right. Can the tire type or placard value be changed if aftermarket tires or wheels are installed? They're stored in the receiver as calibrations and can be changed by flash programming on some vehicles, since the low pressure number is calculated as a percentage of the number that appears on the placard. Calculated the value will bring the vehicle back in compliance with the law. So you can do it if you do it right, okay? That's the point. All right. I'm sick of seeing that stupid light. Can the TPS legally be turned off or disabled? It's mandatory and cannot be legally disabled by any service advisor, provider. Don't go there. All right. Will a tire pressure sensor fit my fancy new wheels? Well, if the valve stem hole is placed in such a way the motion detection components won't work, well, that's a problem. And there's other problems as well. So sometimes putting fancy wheels on there may disable the system. And what is that? That's a breach of the law, right? Okay. Why are these little things or a pressure value of 148 PSI sometimes displayed after a battery disconnect? It's waiting for updated pressure information to be sent from the tire pressure sensors. And the display seen here indicates a dead sensor. You see that one? 35, 35, 35, and you got this right here. So sometimes it'll be waiting. All right. On some vehicles, the OBD2 system can be used for relearning and troubleshooting. Plug it into the dash, go into the right system if it's BCM. Like for example, you remember what I told you, the GM receives the signal via the keyless entry receiver because it's already doing radio anyway. And since this is radio signal, there you go. All right, direct replacement or OEM. You'll need to let the TPS know where they are, but that's all. Tell you what I have seen. I have seen some of the ones that come, the Dorman ones, and we put them in there. They're supposed to work on the particular vehicle we're putting them on. And you'll push your TPMS will light them up and it'll say that it sees them and it'll actually read pressure and temperature. But the stupid receiver on the car doesn't like them and it won't accept that sensor. I've seen that happen before. It kind of gets you in a bind. Like we try to, like the sensor got busted, right? Order one from a parts store, put it in there, and you just have it like the one that was busted, or maybe sometimes you'll break a tire down, and even though you didn't bust the sensor for some strange and unexplained reason, it just won't talk. When you get it back on, and all of a sudden you have a problem with that. So you got to break it down, put another sensor in there, and we shot that one. And this one would talk to the tool. But this stupid receiver didn't like it. So you got to scramble around trying to fix that. You see what I'm saying? Programmable sensors are blank and have to be programmed. Your tool ought to have the capability to tell the sensor how it's supposed to act. And you got a sensor that's still somewhat active. It may be the old sensor information can be pulled by your tool and written in. This is cloning, right? Universal sensors are programmed to be compatible with a lot of vehicles. You may have to do a little bit of work with your tool to make them work right. We had trouble with some of those. And that's the end of the story. Okay? Tell me something you learned that you didn't know when we came in here.
I got something to say. When my granddad bought his truck, the wheels that came on it were like really big ones, and he wanted smaller ones, for his farming and all that. Well, the big ones had the TPMS sensors. The small ones didn't. So now his tire pressure light is just stays on. Is that illegal?
Yes.
Did they switch the wheels?
Yes. He broke the law. That's it. That's it. What's his phone number and address, sir?
I know that. Crap.
Yeah. All right.
That's crazy. I didn't know.
Yep.
Because you switch wheels and that one that wheel didn't just come with it, the other one did. So now his light just stayed on.
Well, I know you're supposed to put the sensors in, put new sensors in there and set them up and all that. Now that you know how to do that, the burden's on you, man.
Yeah, I'm not doing it for him.
You can figure-